You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Republican leader lashes out at Karoline Leavitt, based on an article by Sarah K. Burris. The GOP's voting rights theater is just blame shifting. The majority that cannot govern. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, yet they are still trying to sell failure as if it were sabotaged by Democrats. That is the core trick in this story. The party with institutional power cannot muster the votes for its own voter restriction push, so it reaches for a familiar script and calls the other side obstructionist. The source material gives away the game. The House advanced the Save America Act. The Senate does not have the votes to clear a filibuster. The parliamentarian has already said the provisions do not fit reconciliation rules. None of that is confusion. It is the consequence of trying to force through a partisan election law that lacks the support it needs. Blame the floor, not the authors. John Thune's complaint is the telling part. Instead of owning the fact that Republicans are short on votes, he wants the White House to go after Democrats for supposedly stopping the bill on the floor. That is not a legislative strategy. It is misdirection. The bill is not stalled because Democrats mysteriously derail the neutral reform. It is stalled because Republicans are trying to pass a restrictive voting measure with procedural shortcuts and insufficient support. When that fails, they want the optics of grievance without the burden of responsibility. Procedure is cover. The House workarounds matter because they reveal intent. Republicans attach the Save America Act to a budget bill, then to a stock trading ban, because they know the substance cannot survive on its own. They are not building consensus. They are laundering an anti-voter agenda through unrelated legislation and budget gimmicks. That is what institutional cowardice looks like. Hide the policy inside a vehicle the public is not really voting on, then complain when the Senate rules refuse to play along. The parliamentarian becomes the villain only after she does her job and exposes the scheme. The real target is the vote. This is not about process in the abstract. It is about narrowing access and dressing it up as save rhetoric. The name is doing propaganda work. Policy is the point. Trump wants the bill passed before recess. Leavitt says the House did its job. Thune wants Democrats blamed for the delay. But the story's substance is simpler. Republicans are trying to impose voter restrictions under the cover of procedural urgency, and they do not have the numbers to do it cleanly. So they turn the failure into a public relations operation. The fall guy is the plan. The most honest line in the piece is Thune's own uncertainty when asked whether the White House is setting him up as the fall guy for 2026. "I wish I had a good answer for that," he said. That evasiveness matters. When a party cannot deliver on its own agenda, it often converts internal weakness into external blame. That is not a breakdown. It is a political method. The point is to preserve the story that Republicans are always fighting for order while everyone else is allegedly blocking it, even when the obstruction is mathematical, procedural, and self-inflicted. The pattern. This is the recurring architecture of modern Republican politics. Use institutional power to attack voting access, use procedure to disguise intent, and use Democrats as the scapegoat when the machinery does not fully cooperate. The goal is not democratic legitimacy. The goal is to keep anti-democratic policy moving while making accountability look like partisan whining. The story is not that Democrats are stopping a reform. The story is that Republicans are trying to restrict the vote and are angry this system still requires them to count enough votes to do it. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Leibritz, our thanks for listening.